Hello Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by the Intuitive Teacup. We are going to read your tarot cards here today. Please come into the reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something or better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate for you, that's completely fine. I encourage you to push them aside. Don't take action on anything that feels strange or foreign. Trust your intuition. That being said, you may want to revisit the messages at a later date. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. But I always like to set the intention. Let's try and get you some messages that are helpful, inspiring, and that have some clarity to them, okay? All right, Taurus. How you doing, Taurus? How you doing? Glad to have you here. Let's do it. Ooh, I love this deck. This is Tarot of Haunted House, which is excellent for spooky season, but I actually use it year-round just because I love the images. I think it's a really powerful deck. So bottom of your deck, you have the Page of Pentacles, and I just have to show you. Feeling very connected to nature, which is perfect for a Taurus, right? I'm sure you probably usually feel like that anyway, given that you're kind of one of the strongest, most earthy signs, right? But with that, there may be a special connection with animals this month. Some of you may be pursuing something that involves animals heavily, whether it's career or a hobby or volunteering. Some of you may acquire or adopt a new pet. Something about animal spirits, or maybe you're just reading up more on animal spirits. I don't know. The energy's there, so do with it what you like. Then we have the Two of Pentacles right in the center of your spread. So this to me is about a team effort or a team dynamic, getting someone on board with your ideas. And it's possible there may be an element of sort of needing to stand your ground or fight for what you want. I feel like there's an exciting new chapter, but it requires you to be very courageous and very brave and possibly go against the grain or do something different or alternative or foreign to what you know. It's going to pull you out of your comfort zone. It's going to stretch your comfortable limits, but I think that's a good thing. It may even be something that causes a little bit of waves or you may feel like you don't necessarily have the approval of someone close to you that you really love. It could be a family member, it could be a sibling, though some of you are very much backed and support by a sibling or a romantic partner, or even a close friend. So you do have someone that is your cheerleader or your champion. It seems like, I hate to say something falls into your lap, but more or less something that you've been thinking about or waiting on. It's like there's a signal, there's a sign from the universe that it's time to kind of go through that archway, if you will, right? It's like the opening of a new door. A new door has been presented. And so there's a sense of ease about doing it, but I think it gives you, it definitely incites a little bit of fear. It provokes some fear because I think it is a strange new territory. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a new relationship. I don't know. That could be symbolic, right? But I'm sort of getting the period of wait is over. Because, and I don't know why I'm saying this. I don't mean it in like an ageist way. I almost think it's something you yourself have said, but I just heard like, you're not getting any younger. So, take that with a grain of salt. Again, I never mean to offend, but I'm almost getting this idea of that's something you tell yourself of like, you can justify putting it off. It's never the right time. You don't have the right money, X, Y, and Z. But then I think suddenly you just have this realization, like, it's never going to be a good time. It's never going to be a convenient time. And so if this is something I love and I want to pursue and I want to do, it's like no time like the present. It's sort of that, not getting any younger. I don't know why that's coming through so strongly, but I feel like it's something you heard or something a friend said to you or something that you've kind of told yourself, half jokingly. So anyway, just sharing that for those who need the confirmation. I do get the idea of having some sort of breakthrough or moment of clarity that sort of incites or initiates this venture down a new path. And I don't know what the fear is about for some of you, and I know this is a very, very small few of you, so just bear with me on this message. This may have to do with branching out into some territory that is very spiritual by nature, but it may have to do with contacting spirits or offering healing energy to those who are sick or ill. And so in a sense, it's like you're really putting yourself and your energy out there. And it's like you're using your body as like a tool and a channel and as like a medium for something. something. And so I think with that, you understand that there has to be some clearly defined boundaries and, respecting your own body and energy and being able to recharge and, rejuice, relax at the end of the day. But in a sense, it's like you can only do so much because part of this next spiritual journey requires you to have a lot of faith in the divine or your angel guides or whatever you believe in as a higher power, because it's almost like you feel like this is your calling. Like you've been chosen to go down this path, and so it's like, I'm going to do my part, and I hope the universe shows up for me because I feel like this is what they want me to do. It feels like, like the chosen one. It kind of feels like that, and I do think it has a lot to do with energy healing. For some of you, that's very obvious and you know it, but others of you, even if it is a career that you wouldn't necessarily consider quote unquote healing or energy work, there is something about an energetic exchange between you and your partner, you and your client, you and whatever job or business that is. It's almost like if you look at it as another entity and this energetic exchange between the two of you, even if that other thing is a thing and not a person, there is something very significant about, the energy you put into this. It really does represent you and who you are. And I'm hearing the word like purist, like pure of heart, purist. I don't know why that's coming through, but there does seem to be a very strong connection to a higher source or a higher power in this career, whether you realize it or not. And I think most of you do, because it feels like this awakening or this calling, or you had a dream that, something about an angel or something like that. It feels like you have no choice but to go down this road, even if it scares you a little bit. And again, for some of you, it is very spiritual and very I don't know if witchy is the right term, but like communing with spirits and performing some sort of like, I don't know if it's like a religious thing or a ritual, a spell. I don't know what that is. But anyway, some of you know exactly what that is, so I'm just going to leave it at that. The thing is, I think it will make you very happy. I think it will leave you feeling extremely content, but you are going to have to, quote unquote, say goodbye to your former life, your former self of how you used to operate in the world, because I do see whatever this next chapter is, it is very taxing on you. So more than ever, you are going to have to really take that time to, again, recharge your battery at the end of the day, do things that are good for your mind, body, and spirit. And you have to be very dedicated to that practice, because you want your body and your mind to be able to perform at this optimal level, because it's high stakes. It seems like there's a lot on the line, and you know this, and I think you're going to deliver, and I think you're going to do fine, but all the more reason to make sure you're taking care of yourself, exercise, dieting, sleeping well, drinking lots of water. A lot of water is going to be very, very important to you. Hydration. Even I'm seeing something like cool mists. So I don't know if that's like a dehumidifier or rather a humidifier, sorry, or a sauna or a spa or something about mist and I don't know, something about water is going to be very rejuvenating and helpful to you. You may even end up choosing to live by a body of water or work near a body of water. You may quite literally work in something involving water systems or something like that. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there. I think there's going to be a select group of people from your current life that fully support you and embrace this new decision, this new chapter you're making. However, it is going to alienate you from some people who just don't understand it or don't agree with it. More than likely, they don't understand it, and so their reaction is to fear it. Their reaction is to reject it because it's not mainstream. It's not the norm. It's whatever you're doing, it's a little bit atypical, at least for your own upbringing, in your roots, in your family. There's something about this that it very much goes against the grain of what you were taught. There may sort of be a conflict spiritually, religiously, philosophically, however you want to say it, ethically, I don't know, about what you were taught to believe as a child, the home and family you were raised in, that environment. This kind of branches off and goes a completely different way. That being said, I think you're being true to your heart. I think you're being true to your calling, and I think you have goodness in mind. I don't think you're toying with anything that sets you up for bad karma or anything like that. So I think I've told you this before, but this is about embracing who you are and owning it and not feeling like you need the approval of other people. You have 10 of Cups and 3 of Cups here. I love those cards. Those are cards of long-term goals, accomplishments, the fairy tale ending, the happily ever after, celebrations coming together, milestones, things of that sort. Feeling like you're with your tribe and with your people, and know that you've yet to meet some of like your quote unquote tribe. Like this is going to introduce you to kind of a whole new cast of characters in kind of this new cycle that you are embracing. But with that, there is this Eight of Cups, and I very much see that as sort of I'm hearing the word emotional abandonment, and that's gonna resonate for you guys on different levels. For some of you, that's gonna feel like, the house you grew up in, you weren't supported emotionally. Others of you, you have to emotionally detach from the relationships that were, possibly a foundation in your life, but it's almost like their love is conditional. It's like they're only going to love you if you go down this career path or if you choose this way of life. And because you're at kind of this crossroads of, I love these people, but I want to live my life this way and they don't approve, there may be some sort of emotional detachment from a former group of people that, that were main players in your life. And I'm not saying, you're cutting off all contact, right? That's not necessarily realistic. But, for some of you, that may end up being sort of the best choice for you in order to kind of proceed with this and at least have healthy boundaries so that you're not sort of soaking in that negative energy or that projection from other people, because this feels very precious. It's like a little baby. It's like you don't want it to fail. It's in your hands, and so you're going to do everything possible to make it grow and thrive successfully. All right, so that seems to be that message. Let's go into something else. Some of you, in terms of love and romance, you may have a second go around with a Virgo. There may be a Virgo from your past who shows up with some sort of very formal, intense, I am using the word intense offering to you. And so it might come, I don't want to say out of the clear blue. I don't think this is someone brand new. I'm going to be honest. It could be someone who you've just been friends with for a while, or someone that you used to date, or you've had an on again, off again thing. I think they're coming with a big offer, and from what I see, they're very serious this time. They may make some proposal or offer to you that is, very set in stone, very indefinite, but I think you have some hesitation or a little bit taken aback, because it's like, well, when did this change happen? I'm sort of getting this idea that maybe you were on and off again because they weren't sure if they wanted commitment, they didn't know if they wanted to move in together, they didn't know if they wanted kids or marriage or whatever it is. It could have been one or many of those things. And all of a sudden, like, they're coming in, I say hot and heavy, but what I mean by that, though, is that, like, there's a very serious discussion they have with you about the future and wanting to work with you long term or permanently. And you seem to be a little bit, I think maybe skeptical is a good word. It's like you want to believe it. You want to believe that they've finally chosen you and they've changed their mind. But understandably so, you're a little bit like, all right, I mean, you're telling me what I want to hear, but can I believe it this time? Because I'll be honest, maybe this person doesn't have a great track record. It could have been that at some point in time there was, I don't know if it was third-party activity or more just the idea of having different options. I think, more or less, I think that's what it was. I don't know. This person may have had some sort of, I'm gonna use the word like spiritual awakening, where they've had this moment of clarity, and similar to your story, they've sort of had this sort of reflect back on their life and their habits and their patterns and how they've been living their life, and they're kind of at their wits' end in terms of like, this isn't working and I keep doing it, so like I need to make some major changes. So I think the intentions are good. I think they want major changes. I'm hoping that they're being realistic and not expecting, overnight success, or, the Cinderella story where you just go from lifestyle A to lifestyle B. And, I think that they think it's going to be a very easy transition. And I think, like anything, if we're calling this a healing journey, let's call it that, it's not always linear. There's peaks and valleys, however you want to say it, strikes and gutters. So it's not that they're not capable of making significant changes, but I think they need to give themselves less pressure on the timeline. And so with that, you may want to keep that in mind too. If this is someone you're hoping to build a life with, I see that being very possible, but I think you also need to give them a little bit of lenience and breathing room in terms of not locking it down immediately and almost like putting everything in stone or putting everything in a quote unquote contract. Let it happen a little bit organically rather than forcing timelines, even if this person is kind of pressuring you a little bit, because the thing is, like, you were waiting on them long enough. So, giving it a little bit more time isn't going to damage or negate what's happening here. I hope that makes sense. Some of you are like, it's too good to be true, and that's where the skepticism comes in. And I'm not saying it isn't, but I think you're right to be a little bit cautious with how you proceed with this person. I don't see it being a danger or a threat to you. I think this person wants to make really good on their promise. But again, it's like they're trying to rush something that needs to happen a little bit more paced out, a little bit more slow, because it is a big transition they're making. All right, let's see. So you have double Piscean energy here too, possibly connecting with someone in your life. I'm almost getting more of like a mentor or a friend who's a healer or who's very spiritual or does something like that for either their career or I don't know, just the term healer or mentor, passing along some important information to you and feeling like they have your back, like they're in your corner. Even if you are pursuing something that isn't spiritual by nature, you seem to have a very strong friendship and connection with them. That could be a Gemini, a Virgo, or possibly a Pisces, maybe a Capricorn. Some of you, especially if you have a sibling who is a twin, or a connection to a sibling where you're fairly close in age, I do feel like there's almost a psychic connection between you guys, even if you aren't twins. I'm sort of getting the idea of like twin telepathy. And I sort of get that one sibling, or maybe it's a friend, but you guys are tremendously close. For most of you, I think it's blood related. A sibling may be moving on or moving away, and you don't really feel great about being at a distance from them, and you're a little bit worried about them. It could be that it's just a simple change in the family dynamic because they're going off and getting married, and so they're building this new life where you're not a key player the way you used to be. It doesn't mean they're abandoning you. I do sort of get the idea there may be some disapproval from the family. There's a lot of that message coming through, so I don't know if this has to do with your story and your timeline and your relationships or possibly one of the siblings, but there is a lot of pressure being put on someone because of the tradition of family and living up to the family's expectations. And I just think that things are going to be shaken up, because ultimately people need the freedom to choose who they want to be with and how they want to live their life. And so that may be a long time coming. You may be, well into adulthood, right? And just realizing now that you've been living your life, in accordance to someone else's dreams and wishes. So I see that changing a lot. For some of you, there could be a long-standing relationship where you feel like, again, at your wits' ends, it's like you have to break away from this person, whether it's divorce or a breakup, because you've had to sacrifice your own dreams to make their dreams come true. There's a very significant story here about twins, and maybe that just is symbolic of a Gemini. Maybe that is just symbolic of the idea of siblings, even if it's not literal twins. Others of you, that's going to make sense later. There could be a strong connection, a friendship, a romantic relationship, whatever it is, a boss, a mentor who is a twin, and something about that relationship is going to play a key factor in your own life, Taurus. It might even be someone who attends your wedding, is in your wedding, someone who was at your wedding, someone you meet at a wedding. I have no idea what that is, but it's very, very significant. So that's a relationship you want to handle with care and foster, and make sure you make time for that connection in your life. Don't write it off as just like, we connected, but I'm never going to hear from them again. That's not true. It's far more significant and powerful than you realize. Yeah, some of you are just stuck in a marriage or a relationship where you just don't feel happy anymore. It's like you don't feel heard. You feel like you're locked out. You feel like you're not with the in crowd anymore. I'm seeing this dynamic, or this. I'm actually seeing something from a movie. I'm seeing something from The Godfather, where it's like at the very end of the movie, Diane Keaton, she plays the wife of Al Pacino, right? And like the door is slowly closing, and she's on the outside, right? She's in the hallway, and she's kind of looking. She's trying to peek in and like listen in to see what's going on. but it's very much established like this isn't your territory anymore. Like, the men are meeting now. It's that type of like, you can only come so close in this relationship, and then it's like that's where your part ends, and like we take over for the rest. Symbolically, I just get the idea of feeling very isolated, feeling very shut out, not being considered or brought in on important matters that affect the household or you both or something. Again, I'm going to say I think you have a tremendous group of people who are supporting you, and especially if you're looking to get out of a tricky relationship or a tricky dynamic. It's been a long time coming. That's how you're going to know this is your message, right? This isn't something that, someone you met overnight, right? This has been like a long time coming. And so a lot of you are going to seek freedom. A lot of you are going to choose to part ways in a relationship where I'm getting the idea of, it looks beautiful on the outside, but it's a whole other different story on the inside. It's like this person puts on a lot of charm. There's a lot of peacocking. There's a lot of like, people being like, oh my God, you guys are so cute, couple goals, blah, 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 blah. But on the inside, you're like, oh my God, if you only knew. Like this, I'm sort of getting the idea like this person is a little bit of a nightmare. Like you don't even know. Like they don't let that side of them show. But yeah, so part of me is wanting to be very protective of you, Taurus, that you very likely need to get out of a situation that isn't healthy for you anymore, particularly a romantic one. In which case, do call upon your siblings, on your tribe, on your friends, on your family. I just get the sense that there's a very good friend, like a best friend or a sibling that has your back and is very tight. And it could be someone that you may have had ups and downs with, but when it comes to it, when you're in trouble, this is the person you call and they show up in a heartbeat. So I'm not saying it's always an easy connection, but it is one that is solid, like granite rock. It's like this person will be there for you through thick and thin, even if you do have your little tiffs and quarrels and things like that. So don't feel like you're at this alone. You definitely have someone here to support you. Let's see. In terms of new love, I feel like there may be a Leo who's interested in you. I actually feel like there's a Leo who's been waiting on you for quite some time, but you're just too in demand. You're too busy. So some of you may already be in a romantic relationship, in which case that's why this Leo can't kind of break in. But I do sense that there's a Leo who watches you and they're interested in you, not in a creepy way, but, checking your social media. But I'm getting the idea like they've been hung out to dry. I don't know if they've asked you out and you've rejected them, or they just know that you're not romantically available. So they've settled for like friendship or the friend zone. But I similarly feel like they're trying to break into your life in like a big, bold way, but it's like they're picking their moment. They're trying to do it at a time that is convenient. And it's possible that, again, that like they've tried to reach out to you in that way before. They've tried to put out like, the flirty romantic vibe, and either you completely shut them down and were like, no, I'm not interested, or the opposite, you just kind of weren't aware that that's what they were doing. And so you may have said something kind of, just off the cuff that they took very personally and took that to mean that you weren't interested in them. Some of you just simply didn't know. There is a little bit of like obsession energy, maybe. I never want to raise the flag in terms of making people nervous, but maybe like a little bit stalkerish. And I only say that in terms of like checking your social media to see what's going on. So very likely you're already connected with this person, but you might not know that they're interested in you. But the thing is, if you really take time to think about it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's what they meant by that. So will the Leo, I think the Leo may end up rolling the dice again. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's like, I got nothing to lose. This might be my moment. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. So you may have a Leo or maybe a Pisces come in to propose something romantic or ask you out or something like that. All right, Taurus, that's what I got for you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye.